Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Stampin' Up with Jamie in the Ornate Garden Suite Facebook event. I'm just gonna get comments up here, make sure I'm in the right spot, and then I'm live. Hopefully it's working. Oh, I see people on. Okay, I think it's working. So, my name is Jamie, and I am from upstate New York. My business is called Stampin' Up with Jamie. So thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I'm hoping that you like the lives that have been done already to Mary and Amy. Such great projects. If you haven't had a chance to check them out, certainly go back through, look for them. You'll be able to find them. I know Amy put up a specific page that will link all of our lives. So if you missed any, go back and check them out. Be sure to leave comments, as there are going to be prizes given out based on comments that are made at the different videos and other fun things that are going on. So yeah, this is a lot of fun. I'm so happy to be here with you this afternoon. I am very similar to Amy. I know everyone's kind of talked about their aesthetics and their design style, but I tend to go very simple and clean with maybe some little details here and there. That's kind of my style and the way I stamp. So this afternoon is no different. I apologize if I say tonight, because I normally do my Facebook Lives at night. And so I'm kind of a creature of habit, so I probably will say goodnight all throughout this video. So my card this afternoon is no different. It's sort of clean and crisp with some little details. And I don't really want to call it a fancy fold, because it's certainly nothing like Mary just did, by no means. But it does kind of have a different opening to it compared to maybe like a regular card would. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so happy you're here with me tonight. See, I did it today. And let me just show you some of the product that I'm using. I know you're going to see it a lot today, hear about it a lot, but just to reinforce what I'm using. The stamp set I'm using comes from the Ornate Thanks stamp set. This is a great stamp set because it's got these big, bold, kind of blocky sentiments, and then these beautiful, I just love the script of these, that you can pair with them, and you can kind of mix and match and make all sorts of different sentiments and sayings and phrases and what have you. So a lot of potential here. You can pretty much do just about anything, and I think it's really fun. And I paired it with the stamp set the dies that it coordinates with as a bundle, and they're the Ornate Borders dies. Now I will say right now, these are on back order. They haven't been turned off, so you can still order them. And they're showing that they will be arriving in the distribution center around beginning of May. I think I saw May 2nd or May 4th, something like that. So you're definitely going to want these. These are gorgeous, beautiful. I'm going to use this one today for my card, but we have these beautiful scalped edges. I love these because you can kind of tuck them and kind of hide them, and they're just like a little bit of showing, and then some standalone flowers, and just really pretty, delicate, gorgeous details. These are gorgeous. So let's just dive in today, and I'll walk you through kind of how I made today's card. So I am a fanatic, and it's what really drew me to Stampin' Up! About the coordinating colors. When I would go to a big retail store and I was trying to match colors and I couldn't match them perfectly, oh my goodness, it drove me nuts. So honestly, what really caught my attention with Stampin' Up! Was their coordinating colors. So I'm coordinating colors, color, I only used one color, from the Ornate Garden specialty paper here. Right now I'm using the terracotta tile. And your card base needs to be cut at 4 1/4 by 11, and you're going to score it at the 5.5 mark like you would a regular card. And let me just get my bone folder here. So you would think, well, I guess it depends how you make cards, but when I do this fold, it's usually for a card like this, right? That stands up and can open this way. So it's kind of funny that I don't know, for me, it's kind of ironic that I cut it this way, scored it this way, and yet my card is going to open this way. Kind of ironic. So now, next what you're going to do is in these dies, we have a couple of these big ones, but then if you look closely, there's this guy here, and he's just the edge of, to coordinate with this one here. So he lines up, and we're going to take him and at an angle, cut just the top of our card front. So depending on how drastic of an angle, you could even do it, honestly, quite honestly, straight up and down. That would be fine as well. If you wanted a very severe angle, if you wanted a not so severe angle, if you wanted your card more like half-half or like 1/3, 2/3, it would depend on where you put this end die. I'm calling it an end die. I don't know really what you call it. It goes at the end of the other die. So we're going to call it the end die. And I'm not going to be able to I guess I could have measured this and marked the card, but I didn't. We're just going to wing it because that's also kind of how I do my Facebook Lives is we wing it and hopefully everything turns out all right. But if you wanted to be very particular, I could kind of tell you. This one is about 1 inch in. And then this one, let's see here, is like 2 3/4. So if I wanted to be very precise, I could measure 1 inch in, like make a little dot, and then 2 3/4 in, make a little dot, and then make sure my die lines up. But why would we do that? We are going to not do that. So I'm going to do it off camera here. Make sure you open it up. Don't do it like that or else you're going to cut through both cardstocks. You don't want to do that. And I'm going to just put it through my die cutting machine off camera here. Yes, exactly. It depends on how much DSP you want showing. Exactly, Mary. Yep. If you want a lot, if you just want like a little sort of peekaboo, or if you want, you know, more drastic, it depending on what look you're going for and what ultimate style you want, you can do just about anything. So, okay. So I did that off screen. Watch me have done it like pretty exactly. Oh my goodness. 2/3. That one's a little short. It's like 3/4. Okay, so I did it almost exactly how I had done my example. That's really funny because it wasn't done that way on purpose. Why measure when you can just eyeball it? That is a perfect motto, Karen. Exactly. Okay, so next what you're going to do is take a piece of Whisper White cardstock. Hold on, I have a sticker on the bottom of it. And we're going to take, again, one of those dies, this here, and cut them out. Now you're going to notice that there's these extra like little wings to it. Okay. This isn't for design. It's so that if you wanted to, how do I describe this? Well, I'll show you. I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine, just a panel of Whisper White cardstock. There is a lot of detail in this die. So you may need to go kind of back and forth a couple of times. And there's going to be a ton of little pieces everywhere. So definitely have your garbage nearby to be able to kind of shoo them off. Okay, I'm not going to take them off. Okay, so when you take this off, you'll notice that only one side was cut, and there we go, like that. So this like could have been my card. This could have been my card, right? And then you have this beautiful detail that's kind of hanging off of it. It's so pretty. I love that they made this that way, but I want the whole thing cut out. So get rid of all those pieces. I don't have my garbage right next to me, so they're going to go on my desk. That's okay. And then what you're going to do is now take the same die that you used to cut this edge, and you're going to butt it up right to that detail that was just cut out. I'm sorry. I need my magnetic plate because if not, that die is going to be going everywhere. So and just keep in mind that when you're abutting this to the die that was just cut, you're going to go right up to it. So it's not going to be like this. Okay. You're going to have to go pretty much like the die is cutting the flowers that were just cut out, like that. Does that make sense? And then you don't really want a space in between. You don't really want, you want to go pretty much flush right to it. Because what's going to happen, if you don't do that, then this line here is going to be a lot smaller than that line that's going to cut out there. I hope that makes sense. And then you're going to just run it through your die cutting machine again. And you're going to end up with this. Ta-da! Isn't that beautiful? So again, one die, but very versatile. You can use it so kind of how it's designed to be used, kind of on the edge, so it just cuts one side of the flower. But then if you want it completely cut out, you just attach it to, you just run it through again, this time with this guy, my end die, as I'm calling him. I don't really know what it's called. And then you end up with just like a freestanding flower. Now this is really pretty. I kept it just whisper white because that's just my style. I tend to keep things very simple. But this in and of itself, you could color. You could color it with the dauber. You could color it with our blends. You could emboss over it. Oh my goodness. If you stuck this in some Versamark ink and then put some like gold embossing powder on it, heat set it, you could have, I mean, this is just so beautiful. This is just, I love it. I can't say it enough. I'm using it because it's so pretty. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to adhere this little piece over our part that was just cut out. Now, keep in mind, because I did this the very first time I did it wrong, is don't try and adhere it this way. Because if you try, oh, wait, hold on. Which way did I do it? Yeah, this way. Okay, so see how this doesn't align up? Only one side of this is going to align up. If I do it this way, you get little holes there. You see that? Because it's the wrong way. So make sure you figure out which way it's supposed to go. If you put it the right way, there's no holes and it lays nice and flush, the terracotta tile coming through each of the little holes that are made. Okay, so I'm just going to use liquid glue. Use it lightly with a light hand. And I'm not going to be too particular. You know, I didn't test this ahead of time. Hold on. Oh, no. Okay, there we go. Wow, I just squirted a whole bunch out. Okay, no big deal. I'm not going to be too fanatic about this. I'm going to try and catch the edges and then a little bit in the middle as well. And I can always come back. Well, I'll show you when I glue it down and add a little bit more. May 4th. Okay, thank you, Amy. I'm like May 2nd, May 4th. I knew it was one of those. Thank you. Okay, so again, this is the way it's supposed to be. Double check that you don't have any holes. If you see holes, oops, if you see holes, then you have to flip it around. So you're just going to line it up, glue it down. Okay, so pretty. I love that. I can't wait to scrapbook with it, quite honestly. And then I'm going to flip it over. And then with my snips, just give it a little bit of a haircut on the end so that it's all flush. I don't have any extra pieces. Like so. Okay. Now, if for some reason, like this guy, I didn't put glue all the way to the end and he's kind of flapping in the wings, just come back with a little bit of glue and tack him down. Don't put too much like that. That was a big glob. And this guy too is kind of flapping in the wing. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue and tack him down. This stuff, a little bit will do you. Let me tell you, it goes far. Okay, so just so you know, as I was preparing today's card, I kind of played with different colors a little bit. This is where I landed because I just couldn't handle using a color that wasn't actually in that designer series paper. But this is Rococo Rose. Same idea, same. I just didn't finish it because again, the cardstock doesn't completely match and I couldn't handle that. So I was like, that doesn't match. I can't use it. And then I got a step further, this time with Petal Pink. But again, the color didn't completely match, so I couldn't use it. That would really bother me. But I don't know. Maybe I'll cut it up and use it for something else for another project. I don't know. Okay. So next, I cut a piece. I didn't write down any of my measurements. So this is the designer series paper, the Ornate Gardens specialty paper, and it measures 3 by 4 1/4. 3, 4 1/4. It's gorgeous. It's specialty paper because it has some of the patterns have a beautiful gold foil in them. Just a beautiful touch. It's beautiful. And I'm going to adhere that right to the inside of my card. Now, keep in mind, depending on how the angle that you cut at is the size that you need. So honestly, what I did the first time around is I cut it at an angle and then measured kind of how much I needed, how much what size I needed, I should say. Obviously, if it's at a shorter angle, you don't need as much. If it's at a more in the middle, you're going to need a wider piece. So just be mindful that those are the dimensions, the measurements that I used. But you may need a smaller or larger size depending on the angle that you cut your cardstock at. So we're going to adhere this down like that. It's kind of like a peekaboo. It's not covering all the way, a little peekaboo there. And then I have a little, you're going to have to write small for this card. This is Whisper White. This measures 2 3/8 by 4 1/8. And adhere that next to it. Now I don't write anything on the inside of my cards just because I usually like to write a lot. And so I like to have a lot of space. So you could easily take one of those sentiments, like the smaller ones, like the My Friend would be nice or whatever, and stamp it on the inside. I didn't do that because I like to write a lot. I usually fill it up writing. Okay, so let's set this aside for now. And then we're going to need some layering here. The first Whisper White panel that I'm using for my sentiment measures 1 by 4 1/4. And again, I'm using the thank you and the ever so much. Now, there's two ways that you can go about stamping multiple sentiments together, like on the same piece. You could kind of set them up on your paper and pick them both up and stamp them at the same time. I did that on a Facebook Live on Wednesday. But today, I don't know why, I decided to put them on different blocks by themselves. And I'm going to stamp them in terracotta tile. Oh, okay. So here's the thing. When you're gluing your very detailed flowers, you may want to put a piece of like scrap paper down, because now my grid paper is all tacky. It's all sticky. Okay. So again, stamping in terracotta tile. I'm going to aim for, I wonder if I should put them together. You know what? I'm going to put them together. I take that all back. Forget what I said. I'm going to put them together because I want to make sure that they fit. Okay, so what you would do, here, I'll do it. I'll do it for reals. So I'm going to put down my thank you. I'm using my grid paper to make sure it's nice and lined up and straight. Ever so much, make sure you have it facing the right way. And I'm going to, gotta have a very gentle hand. I'm going to abut it right up there. Again, I'm using my grid paper to make sure they're straight to each other. And then I'm going to pick them up with my block. So it's a little lower than I would probably stamp it. Does it still fit? It does still fit. This one is a lot closer because I stamped them separately. But this way I can make sure when I stamp it down on my cardstock here that everything fits, that it's centered. The one I made in my example, I stamped and then cut. So it's kind of easier to get it centered and make sure everything fits. But for today, we're going to do it a little differently. Give it a second. Hopefully it all works. It does. Now keep in mind, this looks really dark. Our ink pads will stamp darker, and then as the ink dries, the ink will fade a little bit. So that it almost looks like a Cajun craze there, but it will fade. You can see the difference. Can you see the difference? I hope you can. There is on my end, I can see a difference. I'm not sure if the lighting's catching it. Okay, so then I'm going to mat this on an ever so slightly bigger piece of Whisper White cardstock, again, because I like to mat and I can't ever not. And this one measures 1 1/8 by 4 3/8. So again, just 1/8 bigger than this guy here. And when I adhere something down and I'm doing a tight mat, what I like to do is just kind of come at it from one corner. And I know that if I get this corner correct, this way and this way, that everything else in theory should be center and level. In theory, it doesn't always work. So that's matted, very subtle. You can hardly tell, but it's there. And then I have a panel of gold foil. This measures, I'm sorry, I didn't measure ahead of time. I apologize that I'm doing it right now. This measures 1 3/8 by 4 1/2. And this time, because there has to be dimensionals somewhere in my card, there can never not be, I'm going to adhere this one down using Stampin' Dimensionals. 3 of them. just to give it a little lift. I also feel like putting the dimensionals, the shine, you kind of get like in it a little bit, I guess, if that makes any sense. Okay. Again, I'm going to come at it sort of from the corner. And this guy have a little bit, it's not a perfect matte, meaning that for some reason, I don't know, I did these two ends a little bit more narrow than the tops. Okay. And then we're going to adhere that to my cardstock. Now, I don't know, just because it's being adhered over detail, something that has texture in it, I'm going to use tear and tape adhesive because I love this stuff, honestly. It's great for your 3D projects. It's great when you're adhering over something that you've embossed or something with a lot of texture. Keep in mind, though, if you're using regular adhesive or tear and tape, you don't want the adhesive going all the way over, because if I put adhesive over here, the part that, you know, it's going to show through and then it's going to stick to this, which completely defeats the purpose. So you want your adhesive about 3/4. I wouldn't go too far over here, or else you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a card that doesn't open up. That's what you're going to have. So I love this stuff. Tear and tape, but it can be a little tricky. You just got to get it to adhere well, and then it should come up like that. And then this one, I think, yeah, okay. And then when I am adhering something down and I want it straight, I put my card I use my grid paper. I put it right up to this line. My eye is naturally seeing everything straight now because I have these lines going everywhere. And then it just helps me see things straight. That looks good. And then last but not least, just subtle details. I'm adding a few of the gilded gems. I love these. I love these, love these, love these. I'm trying to get the light to catch them. They have these great texture. They're high, and they're not a circle. Well, I mean, they're round, but coming off of it, they have like this great geometric shape, and the way the light hits it and catches it is just so pretty. So I'm going to, I'm going to use the smallest one and then the medium one. They do come in 3 sizes, but I'm only using the small and medium. Hold on. And I'm going to put them right next to each other because that's how I like it. Okay, and so that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the card. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I will have details of the card on my blog on Tuesday, and you can find it at stampitupwithjamie.com. And I'm finishing up here. Come back at 4 as Akika will be here giving her demonstration, and then Karen at 5. So be sure to keep joining us. Go back and watch any videos that you might have missed. And it's been a pleasure, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.